deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé, happily ever after. Let's watch. As I always say, all of my episodes may contain triggering material, so watch with care. Let's watch.
Instead of being a mom, it went straight to grandma all of a sudden. Stay home, 6 o'clock bedtime, wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. All we do is eat lunch, don't leave the house.
I'm not great grandma.
You are.
So they're having a conflict about her wanting to spend a lot of time at home with the child, and he doesn't want to do that. He wants to have fun. He wants to leave the child with grandma, or leave the child at home with other people so that they can do things that are more independent. And that's okay. They can have that preference. And I will say that compared to other conversations that this couple has had before, they seem to be managing it pretty well. They're not being contemptuous or critical. They're being playful. They're giving the other person the benefit of the doubt, I think, because they're able to hear that. I think Yara seems to be more forgiving than he is. He seems to be pretty rigid. The other thing that I'll say is that it's a little unusual for a parent to be this adamant this early in the game. The child is extremely young. To already be, if the child was 3 or 4, I think that would be more normal. I'm not saying Jovi is pathological. There's nothing wrong with him having a preference regarding this. But I will say that there's something, unusual or strange about Jovi thinking that Yara is strange. If anyone, he's the strange one. But we know that just because something is strange, it doesn't mean it's pathological. But his attitude is just like, what's wrong with you? How come you're so like this? When really, I think Yara would be more justified in doing that. I don't recommend either one of them do that. I recommend the two of them continue to have these kinds of conversations and try to come to a common ground, I suppose. But yeah, there's something about, I don't know what's going on with Jovi and his family. They seem extremely set on either just criticizing Yara for anything, or their style of parenting is extremely hands-off, which could point to some of the issues that Jovi goes through with his personality. I don't know. There's just not enough to go off of.
Don't understand stuff.
You tell me how much you're enjoying yourself right now.
I do enjoy it, but I'm bored maybe, no?
We came here for us to have fun. We need to leave Mila alone. Because I feel like since I've been home from work, you're using Mila as an excuse not to spend quality time with me, not to work in our relationship, and using her.
Interesting. I did not expect him to say something like this, and I'm a little upset that I didn't hypothesize about this earlier, that, because the storyline here is that Jovi's like, hey, we got to get out of the house. We got to leave the baby back with mom, and you're too much of a doting mother. And a lot of criticism given to Yara, which I don't think is fair. And then we hear from him that he feels that because you're doing all this with the baby, it feels like you're rejecting me, that you're using it as an excuse to reject me, that you don't love me. Like, essentially what he's saying is, baseline, you don't love me. That's my paranoia. That's my worry. And as a way of avoiding having to tell me directly, you're using the excuse of the baby. Now, that's interesting because I don't think we've heard from Jovi him discussing his insecurities, which would make total sense. And I'm glad he put that out there. And hopefully Yara can say, no, I love you and I love our daughter. I'm not using it as an excuse. I do want to spend time with you. The other thing, I don't know if I've said this, is that Jovi seems very critical of Yara's attachment and anxiety about the child. And it's okay that he wants to have date nights. It's okay that he wants to connect with his wife. It's another thing to criticize her about that. And I don't know if I showed this clip, but he did give her a little bit of grace by saying, look, you're a good mom, you're trying to be a good mom, and you're anxious, and that's good, but, da-da-da. So that's more the language that I wish was being said more often, because that's the first time we've heard that. But this is interesting. Let's see what Yara says.
As a barrier to how you really feel.
Do not say that I'm using my baby as a something, because I was
That's how I
sad for
feel.
us.
Before, when you were my girlfriend, when I was going to Ukraine all the time, when we were traveling, you gave me attention all the time. Now it's like, everything's about Mila.
Yikes. Now, good, he's kind of communicating about his hurt, and that's good. It's not obscured the way some other couples on this show like Mike or someone that would obscure it entirely, and it's really hard to determine what is going on. So I think it should be pretty clear to Yara that he misses her and that he wants to have fun with her and he wants to have connection with her, and he's missing that. Okay, but yikes that as a new father of a very, very young child, we're not talking about a 7-year-old child here, we're talking about a newborn, that you wouldn't just say, well, let's give it a couple years right now. Now, there's also nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm missing you. And it's actually really important. When I work with couples that have a newborn, very frequently I will check in and say, how's your connection? How are you feeling? Do you feel connected? Do you feel love? Do you feel warmth? Do you feel intimacy? You might not be having sex like you used to. You might not be having date night. You might not be having a lot of conversations that aren't interrupted by the child, but are you feeling connected? And for Jovi, I think he only has a set known ways of how to connect with Yara. But what he needs a new way of connecting with her that doesn't involve going out necessarily, that doesn't involve date night, that doesn't involve drinking, that involves other kinds of activities that they can do together while they are taking care of the child, or that can involve, the baby's with grandma, the baby is asleep, we have 45 minutes. Hey, let's go down to the pool and enjoy ourselves and talk, or maybe let's go to a movie or something, or watch a movie in the other room on a laptop or something. There are little ways that you can have quote unquote date night. And so this is a good conversation. Hopefully Yara, and she's done this before, can hear the hurt behind the criticism and not respond to the criticism. Let's see what she says.
For me, that's not okay. I think you should be caring about me. You should want me to be happy.
You really need to stop to be selfish like you are now. You need to be more understanding, Jovi. Being a father and being a husband is...
I am a father. I am a husband.
And more you're taught than you are...
Jovi isn't making it easier. He is being, I think, a little short-sighted and a little selfish. To talk with a young mother and say, what about me? You need to pay attention to me, is like, but you're an adult and we have a child that needs a lot of love and attention and food and shelter and help, and you're complaining about you. I'm giving it my all, and I'm tired all the time from taking care of this child, and you're concerned about you? I mean, come on. So there's a bit of that, but if I were there for Yara, I would say, okay, he wants a connection with you. He misses you. Focus on that. Let's see if they can get there.
Doing now, be just understanding, because I am a person who bring your child to this world, and you just need to be appreciated and do not talk him too much.
I'm so happy that we had a baby. So happy we have Mila now. But I didn't plan that week number 2, you're in America, that you get pregnant, we have a baby. Like, it was unexpected.
Yeah, and that's okay as well for both of them, really, but maybe more so for Jovi. This is a change. And if I was talking with Jovi, I would say, it sounds like you're grieving the loss of what it was like to be without children and maybe even to be single. And you're going through a change where you have to give up things that you used to enjoy. You used to enjoy going out, used to enjoy date night, used to enjoy being free and having the freedom. And you don't have that anymore, and it's upsetting you. And you want to get a little bit of it back, which is fine. Maybe that could be engineered. But a lot of it is gone forever, or at least until Mila moves out and goes to college or something. So, I think that's what you're experiencing, and you're entitled to that. You're entitled to those feelings. And again, maybe there's some negotiation that can get a little bit of it back, but you're not going to get the freedom back, that freedom, unless you abandon your children, which I know you don't want to do. There's no way to get that back, and I feel you. I hear you, and you're entitled to that. Let's talk about that.
And maybe that was the problem, actually, that I was ready to get married, and you wasn't ready to get married.
I was ready.
I was ready to have a baby, and you was not.
Okay, whether I was ready or not for that, if we still have problems when we go home, then we know this is not going to work. I take you to Miami, we come to this beautiful place, and you still want to complain, we still can't get along.
I don't want to...
Another thing that I would avoid out there is to have these kinds of intense conversations when you're intoxicated on alcohol. Your brain is not functioning correctly when you are intoxicated, particularly at the level that I think Jovi is. He seems a little slurry with his words. And that is not a good recipe for a constructive conversation. Now he's accusing her of fighting, which isn't, now maybe they edited it in a certain way, but it certainly seemed like all she wanted, they were having a good time, and then all she wanted to do was check on the child, which seems perfectly reasonable. And he said no, and she said okay, and then he started complaining. So if anyone, it seems like he's the one fighting. So I'm a little worried about this conversation.
Fine, you start this conversation.
Sounds like it.
Too long, too over.
I don't think we've seen it, or I haven't felt this before, but I feel like Jovi has a lot more insecurity than we've seen before. It explains a bunch of behaviors that he's given in the past, but I think he is pretty needy, I suppose, which is fine. You can have your needs, but is sensitive to being rejected more so than I think I realized.
Don't. Joey always bring back that how much fun we had before when we were traveling, when we was a girlfriend and boyfriend, but we're not boyfriend and girlfriend anymore. We're husband and wife, we're mom and father. Life can't be the same. Everything is different now.
All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. I want to thank everyone who has subscribed and liked and hit the bell and commented. It helps with our analytics, and it's fun to read your comments. I do a video at the end of the week where I react to your comments. But yeah, thanks for subscribing, and thanks for liking, and thanks for hitting the bell, because then you would get a lot of notifications every day because we post a lot of episodes. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.